Hey everyone, Goran from Lutify.me here, and in this tutorial we'll be talking about how to color grade RED IPP2 footage inside Premiere Pro correctly. The footage I'll be using today was kindly provided by the guys at Raw Film. Raw Film is a subscription-based platform offering premium stock footage shot exclusively on RED cameras. If you need footage for your project, make sure you check them out at raw.film. If you've been using Premiere Pro to color grade your RED IPP2 footage, you're probably familiar with the master setting tab, which allows you to select IPP2 image pipeline and make the necessary Rec 709 log conversion. However, this is exactly the setting that you don't want to use. You don't want to use this setting because if you are using it effectively from this point on, you are locking yourself in Rec 709 color space. This log conversion takes place at the very beginning of your image pipeline, which means all your color grading decisions will take place in Rec 709 color space. And the problem with that is two. One, all your primary corrections will be more limited by the narrower latitude of the Rec 709 footage, but more importantly, all your color grading decisions will not transform correctly later on into Rec 2020 color space if, for example, you want to output your footage to an HDR TV set and you will effectively have to regrade your footage from scratch. The idea behind using the IPP2 workflow is to stay as long as possible in the IPP2, basically using the red, white, gamut RGB color space for as long as possible, and then to convert your footage into Rec 709 or Rec 2020 or whichever color space you want to use at the very end of your image pipeline. And that way, all your color grading decisions will take place in this huge standardized color space, which is red, white, gamut RGB, which can contain all of the colors coming from RED's sensor, and make the necessary log conversion at the very end. And as such, if you are later on to convert the footage into Rec 2020, it will convert correctly and you won't have to regrade your footage. So let's see practically what this means for us. The very first step, as I said, is to make sure that your footage stays for as long as possible as IPP2. This means we want this setting to be on red, white, gamut RGB, and we want to use the log 3G10 curve. Now this will turn our footage into log footage, but more importantly, we will be using the red, white, gamut RGB color space, which is exactly what we want to do, and we will make the log conversion at the end of our pipeline. Now, pretty much at this stage, we are ready to start color grading our footage, which means going to the color tab and then going to Lumetri color to make our settings and make our changes. However, before we do that, you want to understand that Premiere Pro applies these settings in an order which is predetermined, which means you can't control the order of these actions or the order in which these actions take place. And that order is not always the most correct one for what we need. Therefore, you don't want to use the settings here as they are, but rather use adjustment layers to apply your settings in the correct order, as we will demonstrate in a moment. So the first thing we want to do is create an adjustment layer and place that layer above our clip. We'll make sure it extends for the entire length of our clip. Let me move myself out of the way a bit. And then we will create additional 3 copies of this adjustment layer. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So in total, we have 4 adjustment layers above our clip. And these adjustment layers will help us apply our color grades in the correct order in which they should be applied. Now, one thing to understand, if you're not familiar with the adjustment layers, they are applied bottom to top. So the bottom-most adjustment layer is the first one to be applied, and the top adjustment layer is the last one to be applied. So whatever we do on this top adjustment layer will be taking place last in our color grading pipeline, and whatever we do on this adjustment layer will be applied first, and so forth. So the very first thing we want to do, because it will help us color grade our footage and see it correctly, is select the fourth adjustment layer, and then we will go to the basic correction tab, go to input LUT, browse, and we will select the appropriate log conversion LUT from either our package or use RED's log conversion LUTs. In this case, I will be using RED's log conversion LUT, which is available for download from their website. And I will apply it, as I said, on my fourth adjustment layer, and this will turn basically my footage into Rec 709. However, as we said before, since this is the last thing to be applied to our footage, whatever will happen on these three adjustment layers will take place before that log conversion. So that way, once we are ready to output our footage into Rec 2020 or any other color space, we will simply replace the log conversion on this adjustment layer and be done with it, because all our color grading decisions will take place on the IPP2 red wide gamut footage. If you are asking yourselves, where can I get log conversion LUTs for RED's IPP2 footage? The answer is simple. You can go to our website, and in our website you can go to integrations and then RED IPP2, which will open the IPP2 integrations page on our website. And if you scroll down a bit to about here, you will have two download options. Download option 1 is RED's website. It will take you to RED's website, and you will download the official log conversion LUTs for IPP2 footage from RED's website. Or you could use our own log conversion LUTs if you want. They're free for use. You're just simply click this button to download them and use them in Premiere Pro. We offer two flavors. Version 1, which is more neutral Rec 709 conversion, and version 2, which is deeper, a bit more contrasty Rec 709 conversion, but with warmer skin tones and a bit deeper tones, so you may actually like it. Feel free to use it. Anyway, back to Premiere Pro. So we have applied our log conversion on the fourth layer, and now we are ready to start working with our footage. One thing I should mention, and that's a very important one: if you will be grading your footage in this way inside Premiere Pro and using LUTs, this means you will have to use LUTs that are tailored for the IPP2 footage, and you will not be able to use simple generic Rec 709 LUTs. Why? As we said, the log conversion is taking place on the fourth adjustment layer, the last one, and it's the very last step that will happen to our footage. And all of our LUTs will be applied on the second adjustment layer. Why? I will explain in a moment. But as such, since they are applied directly on the IPP2 footage, they have to be tailored for the red white gamut RGB color space and for the logged 3G10 gamma. If you apply here a Rec 709 LUT, you will get results which are unexpected at best. So if you are grading this way and using LUTs, make sure that you use the IPP2 tailored LUTs from our package. So let's start with a basic look, which we will dial in with a LUT from the package. So we will select the second adjustment layer. We will go to the Creative tab, and under Creative, we will click Browse. We will browse to our package. I have it here downloaded on my desktop. I will go to 3D LUTs, color grading LUTs, RED IPP2 footage, because these are the LUTs, RED IPP2, sorry, because these are the LUTs that I want to use. I will go to teal and orange folder, and I will select a teal and orange LUT, again, which is tailored for the IPP2 footage. Select it, and it's applied to my footage. And here's the before, and here's the after. I like this one. So we are ready to start dialing our footage from this point on. So on the fourth layer, as I said, we have the log conversion. On the second layer, we have an IPP2 tailored creative LUT applied. So what do we do with adjustment layers 1 and 3? Adjustment layer 1 should be reserved for your primary corrections. You usually want to make the primary corrections before applying the creative LUT. Primary corrections being exposure, white balance, contrast, and stuff like that. So in this case, let's change the white balance of the footage a bit to make it a bit more warm. So I will select the first adjustment layer. I will go to the basic correction tab, and I will slightly increase the white balance of the footage to make it a bit more warm and get rid a bit of the blues in the shadow. Let's leave it like this. So if we turn this on and off, we can see the difference that it makes. Now, obviously, there is no right or wrong here. I think I like the a bit colder version better because there's a nicer contrast between the teal and blue tones and the orange lighting here. And when we increase the white balance, it makes the overall appearance of the image a bit more warm. But just for demonstration purposes, we will change the white balance of this image. And this brings us to our third adjustment layer, which should be reserved for all our secondary corrections. Secondary corrections in this case would be making any post-LUT corrections that need to be done. For example, we could desaturate the color we could desaturate the reds, or we could perhaps desaturate the skin tones, which would include some of the oranges and yellows. We could perhaps increase the saturation of blues. We could make some other changes, but basically any color changes that need to be done after the creative LUT is applied, we would want to do on the third adjustment layer. So let's select the third adjustment layer, and then let's go to the curves tab. In this case, we will select the hue versus saturation curve. In this case, select the range of the reds and yellows, and again, just for demonstration purposes, let's decrease the saturation slightly, and let's go and select the green to blues range, and let's increase the saturation of that range. If you were to apply this color grade to other clips, the procedure would be the same. You would simply repeat the process. So you would take another clip, you would place it on your timeline. Obviously, in real world, you would have your edit already ready on the timeline. So we would want to make sure that our clip is using the IPP2 image pipeline, and that we are not making any log conversion using this setting. Then we would simply copy the adjustment layers from here, paste it over our footage. Now obviously this image needs some adjustments. In this case, we want to make it a bit warmer, so we will select the first adjustment layer, and then we'll increase the white balance a bit. We may want to open up the shadows a bit, increase the contrast just a tiny little bit, and then add some saturation. Again, if we were to make any secondary corrections, then we would do them on the third adjustment layer. And obviously, if we were to output our graded footage into Rec 2020 color space, then we would simply select the fourth layer throughout entire timeline and simply change the log conversion into Rec 2020, and all our color grading decisions would stay as they were and would translate correctly because they took place between these three layers. And that would be pretty much it. If you like this video, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that bell button so you get a notification when we upload a new tutorial. I hope you like this one, guys, and if you have any questions, make sure you leave them down below in comments. So thank you for watching, and until next time, bye bye.